It's important that you understand the Jquery syntax so that you can start utilizing Jquery successfully within your projects. A Jquery statement typically starts with a $sign and ends with a semicolon. In Jquery, the $sign is an alias for Jquery. If we look at this example right here, what's going to happen is the H1 will be colored blue and an alert will happen that will say hi there. This will happen when the document is finished loading. Whenever we use Jquery, we always wrap the Jquery within the script element. Since Jquery is just a JavaScript library, the Jquery code can be placed inside the script element. However, if we are linking to an external JavaScript file, then we won't have the script element appear within the external file, but it will appear within our HTML so we can link the file. Let me show you what I mean. Here's the page that we'll begin working on. At present, I simply have an H1 and a paragraph tag. I'm linking to my own locally hosted version of Jquery. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the script inside the script tag. This is like adding an embedded script. So once again, I'm going to start off by using the Jquery alias, which is the $sign. Then we'll pass in document, and then I'm going to type .ready. Inside of the parentheses, we'll say function, open close parentheses, and then we'll have our curly braces. This part of the script right here is known as the ready event. You can think of this as document.ready and then have handler in the parentheses, where the handler is basically a function that is passed into the ready method to be executed safely as soon as the document is ready to be manipulated. In this case, that's when the DOM hierarchy has been fully loaded or constructed. Inside the curly braces, we'll put the steps that we want to occur. In this case, we're going to set the color of the H1 to be blue, and we're going to have an alert open that says hi there. It is important that you terminate every statement with a semicolon. You will generally see a semicolon terminate the document ready function as well, although if it is the last item in your JavaScript, that semicolon is not always necessary, but it's good practice to add it in. If we save our page now and we refresh, you can see that I'm getting an alert message that says this page says hi there, which is what we wanted our alert to say, and when I click OK, the H1 is going to turn to blue. So it's running this code as soon as the document is ready. Now, currently I've embedded the script. We can also put the script in its own separate document. Let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to go to my script folder and I'll right-click and select a new file. And I'm just going to call this myscript.js. It's important that this has the JS extension. Let's go back to our HTML for a moment, and I will just cut this code right here, and I'm going to paste this into my external JavaScript. You'll notice that when this is in an external JavaScript file, I no longer need the script element. I'll save this file, and if we go back into our index page, what we now need to do is we now need to link to that new external file. If I make another script element, and inside the opening tag, if I add the source attribute and point to this particular file, and we save our page and refresh in the browser, it's going to do the same thing. First, it will give us the alert. As soon as we click OK, the text will turn blue. And it's working exactly the same, it's just another method. So this is very similar to how we would add embedded CSS as opposed to external CSS. I do want to point out that it is very common that the Jquery ready method is typically used with an anonymous function. So the code that I just showed you can also be written in a more shorthand version like this. If we want to use this shorter version, if I come back into my editor and go into my script element, I would simply modify the first line of this code to simply say $, and then all I have to do is pass in the function, and then I'll put the opening and closing parentheses and the curly brace. So I don't necessarily have to put the document ready portion in there. If it's helpful for you to incorporate that, feel free to do so, but I did want to point out that you may see jQuery written like this. It still will work in the same way. It's just a shorthand method of writing it. My personal recommendation when you're learning jQuery is to use the longer version, just because it's a little bit more clear as to what's happening. But once you feel comfortable, if you want to shorten it, feel free. Inside the event handler function, we will write statements that perform some sort of action. So in this case, we're selecting the H1, we're using the CSS method to affect that particular element, and then these are the properties and values that we want to affect. The selector is going to select the HTML element from the DOM tree so that it can be manipulated, and then the action is going to apply some sort of action to the selected element. In this case, the changes to the CSS property value are going to go ahead and be performed. I've also used inline jQuery comments by simply putting // // In this way, you can add comments to your code and add yourself little notes. If you want to block comment out an entire area, you would use the same sort of commenting system that we use with CSS. So if I use my /*, I can block comment out a whole section. I'll just go ahead and do that for now, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some additional code. Before I do this, let's go back into our index page. There is one element on the page that was commented out. I will uncomment that, and all this is it's simply a button that says replace the text. We're going to go ahead and we're going to add some code so when the user clicks the text, the paragraph text will be replaced with some new text. Let's do the scripting in our myscript.js file. Since I've commented out this code, I'm going to add my document ready function. Inside of the document ready function, I'm going to select the item that I want to affect. In this case, the element that I want to select is going to be the button element. Whenever you select elements, you'll need to encapsulate them within quotes. You can either encapsulate them with double quotes or single quotes. Either one will work. Then I'm going to use the click, and then in this case we're going to pass on another function. I'll open the curly braces, and then I need to write what's going to happen when the button is clicked. This function is tied to the click event. It will not occur until the button has been clicked, which is what we want. When the button has been clicked, we'll go ahead and we'll select the paragraph element that we have on the page, and we're going to use the text method to change the text. I'll terminate my statement with a semicolon, and once again I'm going to add a semicolon at the end of the click function. And now if we save our page and we refresh in the browser, when we click replace the text, you can see that the original text has been replaced with here is some brand new text. Now you should have a basic understanding of how jQuery works and understand some of the syntax that is commonly found in jQuery code.